Well, hi there, and welcome back to 3R Guitars. I think you remember in my regular viewers will remember that the last guitar that I built was a resin topped kind of experimental one, and in that I explained that I'd tried resin topped guitars before and didn't really have much success, but thought I'd have another go and did that leaf guitar that came out really well, and I was really pleased with that. And in two respects, the resin went okay, and I think because basically the newer resins are a lot better than the ones I used years ago, and I try these like semi sort of experimental guitars, and some just end up in the bonfire sort of thing, and some others surprisingly come out like really well, and I felt that one actually did, and there's some features on it that I really liked, and that worked out really nice. One of them being the actual body shape, that was born a bit on the neck joint being like a double cut Les Paul, which I really think is a neat neck joint sort of thing. So anyway, this next guitar is another resin topped one, and the reason being why I've done it is because I don't really want to go on an endeavour of building any really expensive guitars like the Flying V's for a while. As with everybody, money's not like doesn't grow on trees sort of thing. So I want to do some kind of cheaper fun ones kind of thing, which are quicker and can be more rewarding because of that. So I've got this spare wood that I said from this table that a guy gave me, so I could make a few guitars out of that. And also when I built that leaf guitar, I bought too much resin, so I had nearly half a litre left over, so I just had to buy a little top up for that, and I could get on with something else. So like I say, I've more or less made the same thing but with a different pattern. So here's the new one, and with these things it's almost the most difficult bit is the inspiration. What are you going to do? Like obviously the last one was the Pretty Autumn Leaves, and this one is basically all about money, and my wife came up with some of the idea. I said, I wanted to do one with the old pre-decimal money, which this is, and then she came up with the idea of like doing a Union Jack on the back of it kind of thing, and I bought some material which I probably got somewhere that was a bit too fussy, and she said, well, why don't you just paint one big Union Jack on the back, which I kind of did, as you can see behind this money. So basically it's exactly the same sort of bit of wood that came from the table. You can see here that I use that iron-on veneer around the edge to give an upstand for the resin, and I also smear some cheapo silicone around it to stop any leaks. So here we've got the coinage, dating from Queen Victoria, covering our monarchs up to Elizabeth II. So we've got a Victoria, Edward VII, George V, George VI, and Elizabeth II. So we've got farthings, halfpennies, threepences, sixpences, shillings, florins, half crowns, and we've even got 1 crown, Winston Churchill there. I bought the coins off eBay, and I think they cost me about like £9 or something for that selection. The notes I managed to find images online, and I printed them out. I felt a bit like a master villain doing that, you know, like you've got like, because what you have to do, if you do anything paper like that on an inkjet, if you just print it, put it on and pour the resin over it, they go transparent. So I actually hung the notes up and sprayed them with cellulose lacquer, so that stops the ink going transparent. I mean, it still does a little bit, but you know, you can see it's fairly opaque there. But yeah, I just felt like a blooming forger or something like that, with all these notes hanging up like in lacquer sort of thing. They came out really realistic, and I messed them up a little bit to look old by you can see on there, you know, like this 10-shilling note here, you know, I painted some wood dye on it, and we could use old tea or something just to give it that bit of a mottled look, so it looks old. And I only partially polished the coins, just used a kitchen cleaner sort of thing, because I just wanted it to look old. But I think you can see, I mean, this resin has just been poured sort of thing a few days ago, so it's got a lot of work to go yet to polish it up. But I think you can see the coinage on there, and the you know, the notes on the background, and I quite like that. I mean, I'm old enough to remember the old money, 240 pennies in a pound, etc., 12 pennies in a shilling, and God knows what. And you had a, you know, 10 bob note there, 10-shilling note there. Anyway, yeah, so I think that's quite groovy actually. And again, my wife came up with a thought for the headstock. So this is a neck, again, I've had lying around for ages. I've got about 3 of these with a paddle headstock, so you can cut, and I'll never use them on any, like, you know, expensive builds. I'll always build my own neck, but there's nothing really wrong with these. They really are quite good. But anyway, the headstock design, I'm always bad at headstock designs, and my wife said, well, why don't you do a pound sign? I just thought, you know, I can't really do that because, you know, it's like a letter F with the 2 lines through it. And I thought, well, I can do a stylised one. So I came up with that, and there's inlaid mahogany across there. This is obviously just roughly cut at the moment. So I'll be having 4 machine heads down this side and 2 on that side. And I've measured them so they'll line up pretty accurately, sort of thing. And then I think I'm gonna finish the headstock apart from the mahogany stripes in like blue to match the body, and just the surface of the headstock sort of thing, and go from there. I think that's a really quite a funky looking headstock design. So if I can get it in there, so, you know, we'd have something like that, and I think it will look all right actually. Look quite groovy. So that's the neck. The other thing I've done again is I really like, not crouched down here, I really like keeping, you know, the stuff individual on my guitars. I don't like, you know, I build so many damn replicas and shit that I do like, when I'm doing something like this, I like to do it like use as much individual stuff as I can that you wouldn't find on Telecasters and Strats, etc. So again, keeping the coin sort of roundiness sort of thing, coin roundiness obviously. So I've made a control plate here which goes there, so I think that's quite funky. Now for the bridge, again, keeping coins in mind, keeping coinage in mind, got this tailpiece, circular thing like this, and what I want is I'm going to put the, excuse me, I'm going to put on this, I'm going to use a tunematic style bridge, so the posts will fit on the legs there, and so the bridge will be something like that, which I think will look quite funky. So that goes there, and sort of like that now. You can see it there. I think that would look great. And then there's these, like, I don't know how to describe them really, these sort of semi-teardrop shaped holes you'd be able to push the strings in, and then they'll clip in the second half. So I think that would look quite funky actually. So I'm really pleased with this. I think it's coming out quite groovy. So what I've got to do now is rip this edging off, file down the, because they do 3 types of this resin. It's by a firm called Glass Cast, and you get one that will do up to 3 millimeters depth, one that will do up to 25 millimeters, and then one that will do up to 2 inches, I think, sort of 50 mil. And if you use the 3 millimeter stuff, it will pour flat. Apparently, I've never used that. This is the sort of 10 to 25 millimeter stuff. So there's about 12 mil of resin on here, and you have to file it flat, and then it doesn't come out level around all the edges here. The resin ramps up kind of thing with like a meniscus. So I'll have to rip that off, file that flat, which is a bit depressing because it'll look bloody awful for a while. But I mean, here it's all over the place, which is a bit, I don't really know why. I mean, it takes a long time to set. It takes 24 hours to go fairly solid, and I don't know why you'll get difference in levels. Yeah, but anyway, not a problem. I had to do that before. Now the other thing, I'm not sure with this one. I mean, in the last leaf one I built, the neck was a 24 fret neck, so it was longer, and I could make a kind of a meaningful tenon that went under the front pick guard, so I had a larger area. And I don't know if you remember my comments from the first video, that I tend to dislike bolt-on necks because it just feels a bit IKEA to me, sort of thing, and I like to sort of keep it traditional with a tenon joint. But I'm not sure whether that tenon will be long enough to give a strong joint, and I would still like to do a glue-on neck, but on this I may have to give in and do a bolt-on one. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to route a test piece, glue one of my spare necks in it, and see how much of a shove I've got to give it to break the joint, and see what happens. I mean, like I say, I would really like to do a glue-in neck joint because I just think they look a bit more classy than a bolt-on. But we'll see how that goes. Anyway, I'll leave it there. This has been 13 minutes of me waffling on. But anyway, I hope you like it, and I think it's going to look damn sexy, really. But like I say, on the leaf one, I put the controls on the edge so you could see all the top. Here I've gone, obviously a bit more traditional. You'll have controls on here, the typical volume and tone and select to switch, and no worries there. So yep, let's carry on, and thanks for putting up with me for wasting 15 minutes of your day. Thanks very much, and speak soon. Bye bye. Oh, hi there, welcome back to 3R Guitars. I've been working on this resin topped number 2 guitar today. I've just done one previous video on it, but you can just see today I've done some simple stuff. I've taken the edging off that was around to be a dam for the pour of the resin. So that's all come off. I've sanded the sides down a little bit. You can see I've also run a router around, just a half round route, quarter round router around the edge. I quite like that, and obviously it's just sanded now. Roughly, it's all the top's got to be sanded flat and polished. I've routed the control cavity route there. Routing this resin stuff is really messy, not very pleasant at all. It's like being in a snowstorm. But anyway, so you can see this is getting done now. I've routed a curve on the back, keep it nice and simple. So I think it's got enough fuss. So if you look at it now, we'll have the neck on here now. So we've got the headstock. I've actually I was a bit worried about this part of the headstock there. You know, if someone turned around and whacked it, you may snap that off. So what I've done is I've drilled a hole in the top and I've put a dowel through, so a bridge in that sort of bit of sort of cross grain there sort of thing, so we've got some grain going the other way, so that will make it a lot stronger. So you can see how tight the neck is in there. I can give it a damn good shake and it's not going to come out. So let's see what we're going to end up looking like here. We've got the brass plate there, control plate, we've got the tailpiece bridge kind of assembly going in there. Now on this guitar, I'm not exactly sure, I think that comes a bit further up there. On this guitar I'm going to be putting humbuckers in, because I tend always to use P90s because I like them, but I mean I've got to start using some other stuff. So I'm going to use humbuckers. So we'll just have the two humbugs, and I think what I'll have to do is there's these little edges on here. I think I'll cut those back a little bit because the bridge is going to come to there. Zoom you in a bit. The bridge is going to come to there. The pickup will it'll probably be okay. I mean, I might cut those little bits back a little bit so I can push this a bit nearer. But oops, I think I think we'll be all good on it anyway. Really, I think it'll be quite nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to route the holes for the pickups in the top here, but I'm not going to put a surround on them at all. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take two of these old coins, these pennies that are quite big, the copper ones, and basically use them to cover the feet of the pickup, screw them to the top and then drill a hole through, so you've got the height adjustment, so you'll just have two coins either side, or two cut coins either side of the pickup, so because I don't want any surrounds on them. I don't like surrounds anyway. The other thing, I think, big change, I was talking earlier about doing a glue-in neck on this, and I really can't see that being big enough. I mean, it is quite a solid pocket, but half of it is like resin, and on the sides and the back there, and I don't know how the wood glue would take to that. So if I actually glued a neck in there, it might be good enough, but I would be quite worried, and so I'm going to do, despite what I said, I'm going to do a bolt-on neck on this one. Try and make it a bit neater than just a flat plate on the back and all that. I'll do a nice brass plate with countersunk screws and things, and maybe counter rebate the plate into the wood as well. just to make it look a bit neater. But I think, twofold. If I do a glue-in neck, that makes the build time a lot longer, and you've got no adjustments. Once the neck is glued in, you're stuck with it. Then with a bolt-on neck, you've always got a little bit of wiggle room, and you can put shims at the back to increase the And one of the purpose of these guitars is to, I do, like the Flying V's, I make sort of, quite expensive guitars, and at the end of the day, not a lot of people have got money to buy them, and there's no point in me having the darn things. I don't even play them, and I want to make guitars that people will think, oh, that's quite good value. So the quicker I can do them, obviously the cheaper I can do them. And a bolt-on neck is like a very quick way of doing it, which is quite handy. So I want to try have my own design of guitars, sort of something like this or whatever would be fantastic, and people start wanting them because they're good value for money, and hopefully they'll be good guitars. So just a slightly different direction sort of thing. So we'll go from there and see how things go. So happy days. I'll bring you back. It's a fairly plain build really, but I think tomorrow I'll probably work on doing the neck plate and do something nice for that. Try and think about it, and get the pickup routes done and all that, and then we can go from there. Thanks very much. Well, hi there and good morning, and can't see me there, can you? It's not a great sight anyway, believe me. Good morning and welcome back to 3R Guitars, and we're doing this resin topped money shot guitar. So here we go. So we got it shaped up yesterday a bit better. I put this radius on the side with a quarter round router cutter, and on the back I was actually thinking of going for like a German cut. Let me get me 2 router cutters and show you. Well, one's actually in the router, but let's get it over. So this is the one I used to do the curve, pretty standard thing really. Got a bearing on the bottom, so you just rest this on the top of the body, whiz round, and the bearing touches the side. And one thing to mention there is that with any router cutter that's bearing guided, obviously the surface you're moving the bearing along has to be nice sort of thing. If it's all bumpy, then you're going to end up with a bumpy curve as well. So what I mean is that, like, the edge of the body here, if this is not smooth and accurate, then the router cutter is going to follow that and sort of bounce around, and you'll end up with a bouncy thing there. So it's worth spending your time getting the edge of the guitar nice and accurate, and then your rollover will be nice and accurate as well. Now this is the cutter I use for what they call a German carve. I've heard it referred to. I don't know whether that's a common phrase for it, but if you go round, it looks a bit like it's like a Mossrite or something like that. If you go round with that on the edge, you'll obviously get like a concave cut, and you end up with a little ledge and then a concave cut, which I think is quite attractive as well. But I was going to do that on this just for shits and giggles sort of thing, but I was a bit afraid because right on the edge I've got some coins here, and I was worried about, when I got down to the depth, I was going to start taking chunks out of the coins, which they probably route okay, you know, the carbide cutters are pretty good, but then I didn't want to see the edges of the coins sticking out, sort of thing, from what's it. I mean, you can see this one here when I've been routing this. I've actually cut the edge off that coin there, and I didn't even know I did it. So yeah, they obviously route quite well. But anyway, so I decided against the German cut on the edge kind of thing, just because of the, you know, the damage that might happen to the coins and the router cutters. But you know, keep that simple anyway. Right, okay then, let's get on with the next stage. What I want to do next is I want to get the pickups route done, but I don't want to do that till I've got the neck in. Now the neck is a really good fit in here. It's absolutely perfect. I mean, I can't, like, I could bash it, it's not going to come out. Yeah, I mean, it's not tight either. It's very nice actually, more by accident than the design, I think. But there we go. So very happy with that, and it's nice and flat down in here. So I'm not, you know, I'm not cheating you on this at all. That's how good it is. As I decided yesterday, I didn't want to. I steered away from a glue-in neck. Reasons being the neck tenon is not very big, and I can just imagine, you know, some player going around smacking the neck on the back of something, and it will, you know, with the tension of the strings and everything, there's a chance it could split away. I don't think it would, but it just would play on my mind. So we're going for a bolt-in neck, which, you know, I'm not exactly keen on. You know, I don't think the fender job is very pretty. You know, you just basically, you know, you bolt the neck on it's a strap body. You know, you bolt in the neck on a, you know, a thing with like a massive great heel on it there that your hand butts up against, and then you know, you just got this bloody great chunk, then you just whop a square metal plate on it and ram some screws through it, and Robert's your father's brother, and you know, it's not very pretty, and you know, you just get this square plate on there. So okay, I've given up. I'm going to do a bolt-on neck, but I'm going to try and do it a little bit more cute. So the advantage we've got over a strat neck here is we've got much longer shoulders on the, you know, the neck mortise sort of thing. So the neck is held really stable in there. So that's an advantage we've got. I mean, I just can't move the damn thing. So, you know, it's very stable in there. So what I want to do is do something a bit more cute with, I want a neck plate on the back. I just don't want to put screws in. I think, you know, with this fairly thin base to the neck thing, I'd like a plate on there. But what I'm going to do is come up with some fancy plate and actually inlay it in the wood, so at least it's not sticking out and there's not screws scraping on your belt and all that kind of thing, just to make it look a bit you know, a bit luthier made, kind of luthier, that's an exaggeration, luthier made sort of thing. So I'll get a plate sorted out, and what I'm going to use, going to keep the brass thing. I've got this brass plate hanging around. I think if you look at screws, I want to count the screws in it. So I've got this, but I mean, that's a tiny screw anyway, that's no good. Something like this, that's, I think honestly that's a fraction too thin. I wouldn't be able to completely countersink the screws in there. I want to keep using my cheese head or slot head screws, just to give it that bit of a different look rather than the crosshead ones, you know. and I think that's actually too thin. I will measure up and see, but I've got this thicker brass here that's a lot more chunky, and there's plenty of room in there to countersink the screws, so I think I'll probably go with this. So I'll just get planning out a neck plate, and then I'll get you back and we can go from there. Okie doke. Right, hi then. I'm sorry, I'm right under the light here. Don't know how well that will. I'm getting ready to cut this brass thing out. I've used the 5mm thick brass, and what I'm doing, I'm not cutting out a traditional neck plate. I'm cutting out what looks like an offset letter V, where I can put 3 screws through and into the neck, just for something different. And I'll have a bit of a chat about that later, but let's get on and try and cut it now. I've got my bandsaw here, which is not the best tool to cut metal with. I'll have a go with it. I've got a really fine blade in it, and using something to lubricate the cut as well. Brass is quite an easy metal to cut. It's a very don't know how to describe it really, but it does saw very well, sort of thing. But we'll see how it goes. We'll give it a go and we'll go from there, and then yep, see what happens. So here we are. That went actually a lot better than I thought. That cut really easily, but that's the advantage with using brass. So we've got the start of this done. I mean, it doesn't look much now, but yeah, I'll turn it into the letter V kind of thing. I'll do that off camera, but that cut very nicely, and you can see it's quite chunky. So let's get on with it. Cheers. See you in a minute. Well, hi there again. We were doing this neck plate of sorts, stylized neck plate, and here we go. Here's the finished, well, not finished, I haven't got to sand it yet, but basic thing now. And people often ask me, see my stuff, oh, where did you get that bit from? Where did you get this bit from? I said, well, I made them. What? You made them? And there's, there's just a few guitarists who've been round and things like that who they absolutely love the individual bits, because I've got one guy who regularly plays my guitars, and he says, I just love it because there's only one of them, there's never two, and there's so many little bits of detail in it, and basically there's no way I could compete whatsoever with any factory churning out a lot of guitars or anything like that, but what I can do is take my time and make little bits like these that are unique. I mean, I can't build to the accuracy of a factory or anything like that. And when I produce these things, as you saw, I just used a saw. I haven't got any CNC milling machines or water jet cutters or laser cutters or whatever to do it. I just make one, and that's going to be the only one like that shape, and probably the only guitar with that sort of shape, like neck plate on it. And the thing is that I suppose I spend hours and hours just I'm pretending to sit down and watch the telly with my wife, but oh god, I can't stand it sometimes, but I've got nothing else to do, so I'm just sitting there thinking of what to do with my latest guitar project. So as we can see with this one, with with you know, the tailpiece and the what's it? Yeah, I could have gone out and bought like a, you know, a Telecaster control plate and like just a standard telly hardtail bridge, but then you know, we wouldn't be looking at anything different then, and I think this is unfortunate. A few guitarists out there actually appreciate you know, different stuff, so that's why I do it, and that's where maybe I've got a slight you know, advantage over mass production stuff, where this is not possible just to, you know, make one-off bits and all that. So that's why I do it. It's like my selling point, if you like. If I sold anything, it'd be nice. But so what we've got to do now is, like, I want to inlay this into the body. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out a piece of wood with that shaped hole in it, and then we can route a 5mm rebate to mount this in. So I'll get on with that and get back to you. Right, hello there. Okay, so we're getting back to, I'll just move you back a little bit. We're getting back to getting this neck stylized neck plate fitted. You can see that you know, I've drilled the holes in it now and I've countersunk them, so screws will go in and, you know, you won't feel the heads of them at all. So that's quite neat. I don't know if they're the screws I'll use, but something like that. So the next bit is I want to actually countersink or rebate this into the body. So here we go. This is what I've done. Here's the body ready for routing now. I've cut out this routing template for this, same shape as this. So that fits in there more or less, sort of like a glove sort of thing. I don't want to drop it in, otherwise I won't be able to get it out, but you know, you can see that it fits in there nicely. And what I'll be using to cut it, I'm using my small router now. It's got one of these tiny bearing guided little routers done by Trend. I've used this a lot actually, especially for doing very tight radiuses sort of thing. The only thing is this router is okay, it's a Trend router, and things I like about it is it's small, and it's got a soft start speed. It starts slowly, which is nice, so it doesn't all shake about sort of thing, knock your templates all over the place. But it hasn't got like a depth stop where you can like screw down to increment very slowly. It just slides and locks, which is, you know, when you're trying to do a millimetre different, it's like, oh, for God's sake, I can't do it. So anyway, let's get routing this and starting to route anyway. I don't like doing this, I must admit, without I'd prefer to use my Triton router, which has got the screw down depth stop, but why doesn't someone make a small router with all these lovely features on it and things? So there we go. You'll hear it start slowly anyway, and you know, it's got some good features. I've just routed my phone stop, but I've just routed round again. I've just measured the depth, the cut, and we're nearly 5mm. We just want to go down a fraction, and this is where this gets really awkward. What you can do actually is, if you just put say a couple of rulers underneath it, and then push it down to the surface again, so that's got you a bit of depth now. It's the same thickness as the rulers, which is, you know, that's one way of doing it. So we'll do that now. see how we've got on. Oh, I had a bit of memory problems with my phone, and I don't think it actually recorded the last video, but right, here's the stylized neck plate now screwed in, and I've just put some short screws in for now, but you know, you get the idea. So it's all flush now, which is nice. And like I say, just these individual little bits you can do with an hour odd work makes the thing unique. You know, like, of course you can go out and in 5 minutes stick a pattern fender neck plate on, and that'll do the job, but that's something different anyway. And so the neck's on now, we've got it aligned and everything, it's not going anywhere. So I think now what I'll do is, you know, now the neck's on and I can get aligned to the bridge, I can position the bridge, and then I can position where the pickups go, and I've got some final routing to do for the pickups obviously, so that's what I'm going to be working on now, is getting the pickups like centered so they don't look stupid. So yeah, let's get on and get things lined up. Generally the way I do this is I just put a straight edge down the neck on one side and draw it on, and on the other side and draw it on, and then I know exact line to sort of you know, line everything up with. So I get some tape, put it down here, then I can draw those lines on. I'll get back to you when I've got things in place. Okay, here we are. I've been just planning out this, and I'll show you what I've done. So on here now, obviously in the last, you know, we've got the neck screwed on exactly where it's going to be, so everything now we can project from that. So what I've done is I've used my long straight edge, I've gone down the side of the neck, I put masking tape on here so I can draw. I've gone down the side of the neck and I've projected the line of the side of the neck and drawn it on the tape on both sides, so we've got accurate line of the neck now. I've also marked the position of the bridge across here, so this is a fret rule, so I've got like the fender measurements on there. So 12th fret is halfway between, so double the distance of the 12th fret, and this gives us roughly where the bridge is going to be. I mean, obviously I'm using a you know, one of these, a Tunematic, so it'll be tipped back slightly, so that'll be the line I've drawn across there for the scale length will be the distance to the high E sort of thing, near as damn it. And then what I've done as well is on this back bit of tape here, I've put the straight edge down the centre of the marker dots, and I've marked the centre of the neck. So on this tailpiece as well, now I've marked the centre there, so that will line up on the centre line we've just put on the back here, and then I can line up the position of it, like if you rock it a bit, I mean I can line up the position. I've got the projected lines from the edge of the fretboard down here, so I can get this thing near as damn it central. And what I want is where you've got, you know, the span of the mounting posts here, they've got to be in the middle of this, you know, these little arms from these crescents from the tailpiece. So you know, when I can slide the tailpiece back and forth sort of thing, but I've got it in roughly the right place there. I think I'll come forward slightly, and that gives me now, I'm actually back a little bit, that puts that I'll have to drill the post holes pretty much in the center of these arms here, which is perfect. That'll be fine. Now there's these little tails that come forward on this, and I was worried about them being a bit long, but when I put the pickup on there, be that way round, I'd like it to butt up against those because I think it just looks nice, but I think having them like about, well, it's going to be about 1 inch 25mm forward of that. I mean, I don't really know. Closer up, you're going to lose a bit of volume, so I'm inclined to leave that where it is at the moment. I think that would be quite nice. And obviously we'll have the front pickup up here then. So what I want to do now, I've got everything in line, is mark distance wise where the pickups are going to be, and then I want to centralise the hole for them, obviously, so the pickups will be, the strings will go over the pickup poles, sort of thing. So that'll be good. I think this must be an old bridge pickup I've got actually. But anyway, yep. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to mark the forward edge of this tail piece so I can see exactly where the pickup is going to be, back and forth wise, do the front one, and then I can start laying out this way then, so I don't get the pickups, like I say, in the wrong place. So I'll get back to you again. Well, hi there. Right, now I've marked everything out on here. So, you know, we had the line of the neck marked accurately, we had the centre line marked accurately, we knew exactly where the bridge was going to go. So then I can, you know, space the pickups out, and you know, north to south if you like, and then east to west to line up perfectly with the string line and everything like that. You saw how we did that on the video. So I can now route these out, and I've got my old Flying V templates with the humbucker pickup routes, which I know are really nice. So they fit really lovely in there, sort of thing. Where's the whole pickup? There we go. So there we go, they fit really nicely in there. So I want to use this template, and when I was actually looking at it, I got that out and I put it on top of here. Literally, it's almost perfect for the position of the pickups, like you know, north to south. So I mean, there's literally just a couple of mil difference, so I'm not adverse with pulling this pickup back a little bit and giving it a bit more meat on the body up to the neck, end of the neck, sort of thing. So that's what I'll do. I mean I could, you know, put this on, route the front pickup, move it back a little bit and mount and do the route for the back pickup. I don't think there's any need. I'm just going to use that template, because I mean, when I've got the router plunged to the right depth, you know, I can do both at the same time. So I think we're all good with that. That's nice. I mean, obviously with this, I didn't know when I made that first resin guitar that I was going to make another one, or maybe another one, or maybe another one. But what you do to save all this marking out and bollocks is, you know, you'd make an accurate template, so you could just screw the template on the top of the bit of wood, route round it to get the body shape, you know, do the pickup routes, do the control cavity routes, you know. And this is the only template I had, sort of thing, just for the outline of the darn thing, and this is too thin anyway. But you know, if I was going to, of course, if you're going to build 4 or 5 of these, you know, you could do a set of templates. And then, you know, once you've done one set template, say you've done one for P90s or single coils or something, it's very easy to screw that template to another bit of wood, whiz round the outside, and the only other cuts you've got to do to change the pickup route, sort of thing. So templates is the way to go, let me say. It's just that I never envisaged that I'd be making any more of these sort of things. So I'm doing it, sort of marking it out and everything like that, which is a bit of a pain, but you know, it's not too bad really on the one-off. So what I'll do now is I'll get this attached on here, and then we can start routing of the pickups. And it actually is quite convenient because the tails of this come off the edge, and I can clamp on here and maybe put a long screw through into the pickup route there, sort of thing. So into the neck route on the front there, so it will hold it there, and I think we'll be all good. Yeah, rock and roll, let's do that. Get back to you. Okay, I've done the front pickup route, and oh, what a mess. This resin stuff is really horrible to route. I've left the back one so I can show you what I'm putting up with, and the mounting of like this stuff you get out. I really don't like routing much with bearing guided routers and templates over the top, and I know if you've looked at my Flying V thing where I kind of built that overhead router, just makes it a lot more pleasant and makes you realise how much, you know, how much aggro it takes out of it. Because I mean, at the moment I'm using a 1/2 inch router cutter sort of thing, so the corners of the pickup routes are too rounded, so I'll have to go in there again with a little router cutter and thing, and it just brings in loads of tiny inaccuracies sort of thing. And that's one reason why when I said you know, I was using the Flying V template, but north to south the pickups was a couple of mil different, but at least I can clamp the whole template on. There's a screw at the front, there's 2 clamps here which are tight, so I don't want to have to take the template off, move it, go back, put another router cutter in and try and place the template again and do all that. So you see where I'm going. But what I'll do, and another thing, with this template only being about 5 mil thick, that's the, can you see the router cutter on there? That's the shallowest router cutter I've got. Oh, where's the bloody depth thing? So that's the shallowest router cutter I've got, and so I've basically got to get that bearing on that template. So I have to take nearly 1/2 inch probably, or at least 10 mil of cut in the first go, and you'll see what a mess it produces. And when I'm using the overhead router like I did with the Flying V's, you can take small cuts, and it's just a lot more convenient and less stressful sort of thing. But I'll show you what I mean. You'll see what a mess this will produce. Now I can't see an absolute thing because I've got this mountain of shite in here. Got to take all that out so I can actually see when I look through what I'm routing to. Here we go again, get rid of this mess. I mean, it's not too bad when you've done the first cut, because then you can go down less, but this stuff is like sticky, it sticks everywhere, and you can see stuff all really is miserable, but there we go. Quite a relief when you get through the resin to the wood, and again, doing it this way, you've got so much more chance of fucking up your templates. You know, you've only just got, because you're taking a big cut like this, it's a lot of vibration, things can move, and on this one, on this router, I've got to keep my finger down on the depth set. Otherwise it comes loose and the router comes up, and I end up then ruining one of my templates, which are only £300 for this flying V, so bargain. Right, that's the worst cut done. Now I can get all this shite out of the way, and then I can go down now in smaller increments, so less mess, but it's still miserable until you get through this resin and into the wood. I think on that cut we got through to the wood. You can see mahogany shavings in here, so phew, that's got through that horrible resin stuff. I can see that I've actually hit another coin as well, because I've got a bit of brass coloured glitter in there, so I think an old threepence might have bit the dust the corner of it a little bit, but we're all right. Yeah, it's fairly unpleasant, this, isn't it? But we're getting there. I drilled a wire channel through from the neck pocket through there, and I can see I'm down to the wire channel. So we get in there. See how deep we are. I think, to be honest, we're actually deep enough there. I mean, it is a bit difficult with the feet on the humbucker that obviously go a bit deeper, but I think they're about 28 mil, 23 mil deep. What? I think we're actually okay there. I think with the height of the two pneumatic bridge and everything, I think we're fine with that depth. So what I'll do now is I'll get my smaller diameter router cutter, put that in and just do the corner of these pickup routes, and then I think we'll be good. So there we are, let's change cutters over and I'll get back to you when I've done that. Sorry for the long video. Okay, pickup routes done. So I started off with that cutter to do the hogging out of the stuff, and finished off with that slim cutter just to do the tight corners to get the nice pickup routes, you know, the corners of the humbucker sort of thing. So okay then, let's do the reveal on this. We can let's get some of the tape off here. Kind of want to leave the bridge bit on there, but it doesn't really matter. It looked very, very nice actually. Oh, you can see where I've gone. Oh, I'll show you in a minute. And just pick a bit more off. I try to avoid cavities with the coins, but you can see I put one in there and I've had to cut halfway through it, which doesn't really matter, and I've just nipped one here as well, but the router cutter went through alright, and just nicked George V there as well. So there we go. So who was that? Oh, that was Liz, and that was a Liz one as well. So anyway, you can see now, here's my pickup cavities, all nice. Let's try some pickups in them. So there's a pickup cover in there now. Goes in there really nice. And obviously in the back, no problem. And let's try a, well, we can't get, yeah, so anyway, we're like fine with that, I think. I'm pleased with that. They're nice accurate cuts. Quite a bit of wobble on them actually, but I don't mind that. There's about a 1/16 of an inch all the way round. Looks nice, I think. So that's okay. So that's the pickup routes done, and oh, what a messy job that was. I mean, I much prefer doing it on the pin router, you know, where you can take smaller cuts and not get so much mess and risking your templates and all that, and then, you know, you're just using a £5 router cutter instead of like a £20 bearing guided cutter sort of thing. So saves you a fortune as well. But there we go. I think we're pretty good there now. So I'll have a bit of a tidy up and go from there. Cheers.